Hi, I'm Eunice Nichols, co-CEO of CoGenerate, a national nonprofit focused on bridging generational divides. I've spent my whole life embedded in an intergenerational context, from growing up in an immigrant family with my grandparents to spending the last 25 years mobilizing older and younger generations for the greater good. I'm admittedly pretty obsessed with all things intergenerational, but today I'm here to talk to you about why it needs to become your obsession too. I won't bury the lead. The future of democracy depends on older and younger generations learning how to work together. It's a tale of two futures anchored in a set of major demographic trends that are dramatically reshaping society as we know it. The first is a trend that everyone here is familiar with. A lot has already been said about the shifting race composition of America. By 2045, we'll be a majority minority country. My guess is many of you have already begun contending with the implications of us becoming the most racially diverse country we've ever been. But fewer of you are probably tracking a second massive demographic trend, the aging of America. By 2035, our country will, for the first time, be more old than young. Advances in technology, sanitation, and healthcare are leading to longer lives, but birth rates are on the decline as Americans delay or forego marriage. Women have children later in life, and young people report less confidence about bringing children into a world and climate in crisis. For the foreseeable future, the only thing preventing the US population from shrinking is immigration. While there's a growing understanding about our country's new longevity, the underappreciated trend that's been happening right under our noses while nobody's paying attention is our country's age diversity. Let's take a look at this chart. 100 years ago, more than half the population in the US was under 18, with fewer people in each subsequent age group. It's that blue ski slope heading straight downhill. When you look at the same chart today, it's a flat line. That blue triangle has become an orange rectangle, with essentially the same number of people alive at every age from birth to 74. Let's pause for a second and really let that sink in. We are the most age-diverse society in human history. But at the same time, we've also become the most age-segregated. Our institutions, infrastructure, and policies are literally designed to separate us, often for the sake of efficiency, with young people in schools, middle-aged people in the workplace, and older adults in senior centers, retirement communities, and nursing homes. Carl Pilmer, professor of human development at Cornell University, calls the systematic segregation of old from young a dangerous experiment. Others have gone as far as to call it age apartheid. And what has this experiment gotten us? Well, a raft of problems, including rampant ageism and generational conflict. It's turned age groups into interest groups, pitting youngers against olders via fixed pie policies and media headlines like kids versus canes, the silver tsunami, and generational theft as baby boomers bankrupt Social Security. What's more, our country's age segregation goes beyond the structural. Even our increasing racial diversity is age segregated. The kids in our country are already majority minority. People over 65, 70% are white. It's the perfect setup for an epic zero-sum generational showdown. Our older, more racially homogenous population controls the vast majority of America's resources, continues to hold most of the seats in political power, and vote at significantly higher rates than young people. So let me put it starkly. In a society that's becoming more old than young people simply don't have the numbers to win a generational war. What's worse, the baby boomers are the first generation to report they don't think they're leaving the world a better place for their kids. Right about now, you're really regretting inviting me to come give a talk about generational trends. While it's not all gloom and doom, sure, one possible future does look like the Villages, an age-segregated, racially and ideologically homogenous retirement community in Florida. At population 145,000, it's been the fastest growing metropolitan area in America over the last decade. The rise in these retirement communities, segregated by age, race, and ideology, point to the possibility that the dangerous experiment is winning out. But at the same time, there's been a fourfold increase in multi-generational living, and not a week goes by without a major news headline like, "She's 63, I'm 33, I thought we wouldn't gel, but now she's my best friend." That's no surprise when our nation is facing an epidemic of loneliness and isolation that's disproportionately impacting our oldest and our youngest. Even Harvard Business Review published a piece recently about the rising importance of intergenerational friendships in the workplace. These trends point to the possibility that the dangerous experiment of age segregation could be on its last legs. In truth, our era of age segregation amounts to an unnatural deviation in the arc of human history. Evolutionary anthropologists now believe that the role older people played caring for children and helping parents led to us becoming human beings in the first place. It's called the grandmother effect. It's also why intergenerational connection and collaboration has potential to be what John A. Powell calls the short bridge to repairing more contentious divides. Here's more good news. Recent research we conducted with NORC at the University of Chicago uncovered clear, pent-up demand from people of all ages to work across generations for change. Surprisingly, Gen Z most of all. So what's preventing them from doing it? Well, every age group cited an inability to find opportunities to work with other generations, along with difficulty communicating with people much older or younger than them. But that anxiety was 2 times stronger for Gen Z. It turns out digital natives have very few models of good conflict. They need safe spaces to practice and grow with people of other generations. So where does that leave us? Well, in this tale of two futures, the future that prevails in 25 years depends disproportionately on the choices we make in the next 10. Because this age-diverse moment is just a waypoint to a more old than young society in 2034. If we fast forward to 2050, nearly 1 in 4 Americans will be 65 years and older. The number of Americans 85 plus will triple, and the country will add 500,000 centenarians. How we frame this issue of generational shift will make all the difference. Will we focus on building a democracy that works for a more old than young society? That's a fair and important eventuality to prepare for, and many are already starting to do that. But I think those of you in this conversation have a special and urgent charge to instead reframe the future of democracy around the opportunity represented in our current new era of age diversity. Because remember, the future of democracy will be shaped by the ability of older and younger generations to work together. We have a solid decade to take advantage of equal numbers of youngers and olders in society, and to use this moment to reset our norms, our habits, our institutions, and our policies in the power of together. I'm going to close us with one last stat as a call to action. Half of all kids born today will live to 100. So what are the ramifications of a 100-year life on our country and our democracy? How do we create the kind of citizens that will remain civically engaged over the serious long haul? And what models will move us beyond the persistent us versus them status quo that segregates our civically engaged olders from our socially activated youngers? For the sake of our democracy, we have to lift our sights on the timeline and the techniques. We have all the pieces of the puzzle. Our job is to figure out how to put them together. Thank you.